Welcome to the Tactical Business Podcast. I'm your host, Wade Stalski, and today I'm speaking with David Dorsey from DBoss Firearms. David, how you doing today, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. We were just talking about the fun social media landscape for gun ownership and gun businesses, but I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit today. I'm excited to talk about that with you. But before we get there, run me through a little bit through the sort of how you got to where you are now.
Sure. So as you can tell, you're seeing me in my showroom here. This is a very small part of, believe it or not, I'm inside my furniture store. So I own a furniture store. So if I were to turn the camera around and look around, you would see furniture all around you. So back in 2018, I like to say I woke up one day and I got bored of furniture and I decided to make a business out of one of my hobbies. I am pretty proud that I was able to create this like almost out of nothing. According to the IRS, that's not a thing, but I really didn't come into this with debt. So I didn't go take out a big loan or anything, whether it be from a financial institution or myself. And I just wanted to start and grow it slowly to see what it could turn into. And of course, at the end of 2018, we had a government shutdown. So we had to wait quite a bit for our FFL to get approved. And being new to that process, we didn't want to rock the boat. So we weren't calling and inquiring to get that process moved along. So we just waited patiently. So I officially opened my doors here, this spot, June of 2019, which was probably just about the best time to start a firearms business because the following March, COVID hit, and I've never seen it. You know, being in business for many, many years, I had never seen that every single item you got in sold. It was an unbelievable, wild time. We'll never probably see that again in my lifetime. But 2020 really, really pushed us into what we are today, even though we still aren't that big of a shop. But it really, really, really helped push us along. And again, my biggest thing is not having any debt. So I'm proud to say that and live that. We during the height of the pandemic, we found out pretty quick that marketing as a gun store just is almost near impossible. And so we found a lot of success. We started out on Facebook, and we did live videos. So we did live unboxings. Everybody loves unboxing videos, and I was really surprised Facebook let us do it. So every time we got shipments in, and back in 2020, we were getting gigantic shipments, and this desk behind me here would just be filled like a pyramid, and we would just start rolling the camera, just open each box. A lot of the times we forgot what we ordered, so we were finding out with everybody as we were opening the boxes. And it got to the point too that we would make an announcement that we were going live, and then customers would race down here, stand off screen, stand on the other side of the counter here. And as we're opening boxes, they would be waving cash at us and going, I want that.
That's like a business person's dream. It's almost like it's not even an auction. It's just like, okay, here's what we have. And people are like, yes. Well, that's amazing. What a great story. And you have something in there that I really want to talk about that I've noticed through interviewing a lot of successful business owners is the idea of geography, right? Sometimes it's the geography of the state. Sometimes it's the geography of your physical location. And then in terms of like where in a town. But then for you, like you did, you're utilizing an existing space that you already have from an existing business. So that has its own set of challenges. Walk me through that. Like, how did you go? What was the decision-making process to do that? Once you decided to do it, you said, okay, I'm gonna go forward with my hobby and make a store. When you looked at your business, how did you make that decision, and what would you do differently? What worked, and what would you do differently if you were to go back in time?
You know what? I was pleasantly surprised at how well everything worked. I thought for sure, when you're dealing with the government, and especially firearms and permits and all of that, I mean, basically, creating the LLC probably was the most difficult part of the process, and you probably know that that's not very difficult. Well, I take that back. Probably the most difficult part was our fingerprints. We, ATF will not help you. They're going to send you the packet to fill out the information that they need, and they just send fingerprint cards, and then we go, okay, like we have in our town. So just I don't think I mentioned it. We're located in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and in Oshkosh we have three law enforcement agencies. So we have the regular PD. There's a PD for the college, and then there's the county sheriff's office. We have all three of them. And then they tell the ATF just says, well, you need to talk to your local chief law enforcement officer. And it was very hard to figure that out. We decided, sheriff is probably higher up on that list. And we went out to the sheriff's department and we said, hey, we need to get fingerprinted for our FFL. And the cop that helped us out with that, he pulled the ink fingerprinting stuff out of a dusty box and wiped out. He was the only sheriff left in the department that knew how to do it. They have since moved on to digital fingerprints. And after they did it for us, they said no more. They're not doing it again. If you're getting your fingerprints with us, it's because you're going to jail. So, but we found out later from our ATF agent, we could have just done that ourselves. We thought we needed a law enforcement officer to complete it and sign off on it, and that wasn't the case. If it came out clear enough, we could have done it ourselves. So, but I was really expecting along the line like roadblocks with the city, with the ATF, and realistically, it was a very streamlined process for the most part, from just jumping in with 2 feet. It was a pretty easy process. So if I had to do it all over again, knowing what I know now, I wouldn't be afraid. So, and if anybody's thinking about doing it, at least here for us, it was not that it was scary, but it wasn't. It was not a hard process to complete. So
yeah, the FFL. I hear the FFL. Everyone always says that the FFL part of everything is easier than they thought it would be. That's a common thing that I hear.
Right. And even the interview with the ATF agent that came out, we got lucky. We got the ATF agent that trains all the other agents. And so you got a guy that really, really knew what he was talking about. And he was really efficient. And he could look at our stuff and just like kind of cruise right through it. And, we thought they were going to be a little more stringent on some policies, and it's not as bad as you think it is. So,
and if you have a good relationship with your ATF agent too, I find there's in the 2A community there's a distrust of the government, which I understand, but good people do work within the government. I mean, I used to be a prosecutor a million years ago. And I've seen both good people in law enforcement and bad people in law enforcement. And the key is if you get a good ATF agent and you work on a relationship with them, that can be a lifesaver for your business.
Absolutely. And I can honestly say we have not had one bad interaction with the ATF. When we had our very first audit, which they try to audit you within the first year. And honestly, I wish they would have. I got my first audit in November of 2023. So we had already been in business for 4 years by the time they had showed up. And I did a funny YouTube short about it. I came in that morning. I was excited to be at work. I was hyper a little bit. And I saw a car out in the parking lot. I was like, hey, somebody's here. They want to give us money. So let's open up early. Go hit the open sign, open it up. I'm in a good mood. And then he comes in, flashes his badge. He goes, hey, I'm your local ATF agent. I'm here to conduct your audit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a bit of a process. But honestly, even the audit itself was not that painful. So,
well, I would think you'd want it early so that they could catch if you're doing something wrong, right? And so, or give you a suggestion, hey, you don't have to do this, or you have to do this, or streamline it or whatever. So,
right.
I want to stay a little bit on the topic of in your furniture store, right? So,
Yeah.
firearms and furniture, they both start with F. They both start with F, obviously.
Yep.
They're but besides that, they're more complementary. They don't compete with each other. Is that something that you kind of thought in your head, hey, this actually, we could get some back and forth and synergy between these two products? Do you see that? Like, how do the customers, how does that work? Do they just come in the firearm side? Do they just come in the furniture side? Is there some mingling back and forth?
I was, yes, I was hoping there was going to be a little more crossover than what there is, and unfortunately, there's not.
Hmm.
I kind of thought it would be, husband, bring your wife in and let her shop for furniture, and then husband shops for guns. Doesn't really happen that way. The I will say that the firearms side definitely brings way more people through the door. So I achieved, higher foot traffic, which we're always looking for. We always want to have higher foot traffic, and there's always a potential to capture, customers for both sides of the businesses. But most of the gun guys that are coming in, at least of late, because of all it seems like there's a slump in the firearms industry right now as far as purchasing goes. We're seeing a lot more deals being offered through distributors. So, a lot of price breaks, there's sales, and, Palmetto is always crushing it. So we're finding a lot of our foot traffic is more on the transfer side of things than it is actual like coming into shop. Um, but also our YouTube channel brings in people every single day. Every single day we have fans that come in. So we kind of have ways to get people through the door. But realistically, as far as, trying to tie the two companies together, nope, they're pretty divided. They're pretty separate.
How did you let's talk about YouTube. How did you decide to do that? Was that something that was kind of organic and an accident, or was it something that you planned? And what are you finding that's working? Because from an outsider's perspective, I hear a lot of horror stories about YouTube demonetizing you and shutting you down, and it doesn't sound like you're experiencing that. It sounds like you're having a lot of success with that. So run me through that a little bit.
Right. So back in, I'm going to try and get my dates right here. April of, it's either 2022 or 2023. It was a very short time. I think 2023. April, I decided we had already had a YouTube channel. I created one, probably end of 2019. I created a channel. We made a custom AR for Twista. I'm not sure if you're a rap enthusiast, but Twista the rapper, who holds the Guinness World Book record of the fastest rapping. Awesome guy. He's a 2A enthusiast. He's a certified trainer through the USCCA, and that's how we met him. Was through USCCA is based out of West Bend, Wisconsin. So Dustin, my gunsmith, was down there for training, and we ran into him, and we created a custom AR for him. And so I created a like a 5-part mini series of building that rifle for him. And through that mini series, we picked up, I can remember it very clearly, 847 subscribers. And then we just didn't really have time to continue to make videos. So fast forward 2023, April 2023, I looked at YouTube. I was searching. YouTube's great because it's like cannibalistic. If you don't know how to YouTube it. So I did research for probably about 3 to 6 months, got a game plan together on exactly kind of the formula I wanted to do to start pushing heavy into it. And so from April to, I believe, is the beginning of October, we picked up 100,000 subscribers. And so we've just kind of continuously grown from there. And the videos that I create, and that's probably separates us from a lot of the other YouTubers. The other YouTubers are guys that are doing that out of their living room, their basement, their garage, and their backyard or their local range. So they're like at-home YouTubers. We're a brick and mortar store, and so what our claim to fame is customer interactions. because we've seen some real doozies in our time of customers that come in. People ask us all the time, where do you get the inspiration for your content? And it's, we get here in the morning, we unlock the doors, and we wait. And the content comes to us. And so we just did some customer reenactments, and about 90% of our videos are based on actual events. So if you go back and watch anything, we love telling the background story. So when fans come in, they always go, "Hey, what was the story behind this video?" And we can tell them. So our journey, has 100% been more about the shorts on YouTube, and we are monetized. I get paid to advertise my own business now, so I will no longer do radio ads, TV ads, flyers, billboards, none of that. I would rather take the money that I would spend on those things and go put it into my channel, and I will get a much bigger return. So we found YouTube to be probably the most successful tool for us. And of course, they've got community guidelines that you've got to follow, and they're different than other platforms. The biggest hurdle for us, and we're making a big push into live streaming. And so when you do a live stream with YouTube, nobody can handle a firearm. If somebody touches a firearm, even with it being on the wall behind us, if we take the camera up to it and we reach out and just touch the gun as we're filming, doesn't matter. They'll shut it down, and then you can't upload for 24 hours.
Interesting.
So there's rules to follow, but if you know how to navigate it, and I feel like I've got more of a mind for marketing. Being creative in the content that you're going to create, and then also keeping in mind, like as you're filming, editing, like what's appealing to a viewer, because you really have less than 60 seconds for attention. Right. So you've got to be, fast with it. And I'll just say real quick too, I have a background in video editing. So I went to a tech down in Madison Media Institute for a little bit. And I had planned on doing video editing. Working just turned out to be better. But that was back in 2005, and technology has greatly changed since 2005. So, but I still had I would say I'd had the framework for knowing camera angles, audio, and editing software. So, I mean, it's still the same principles still stand. And I think what makes our content a little more enjoyable is we don't use fancy transitions. I'm not using text. I'm not using music. So a lot of the times I don't want to say we're tricking the viewer, but at least when the viewer lands on our videos, I think in their mind, they might think, hey, this is somebody standing there like filming with their phone, and it's a real event. Like it's really happening. So I think that's been very helpful to us.
Yeah. And I think it's so important that people realize two things about what you just said. One is that production value, sometimes you don't have to have like highly produced content in order to get the people to grow a channel, right? And that is a big misnomer, number one. And then number two is that the idea that you'll never run out of content if you just open your mind up a little bit. Like my writing clients, when we'll have clients that we send emails for all the time, and it's just, there's so much, if you just are, talking about real life and what's happening, there's so much content out there for you. Well, that's amazing. So you got the YouTube channel up and running. It's going great. What do you feel like that presence is you're just gonna stay with YouTube, or you're gonna expand to other social media channels? Like, what is your strategy, you think, going forward for the next year on the social media side?
Well, Facebook and Instagram have already flat out told me they're not going to promote my content. On Facebook, on our main page, I had about 20,000 followers. We had a little bit over that. And Facebook, I think when they were gearing up for TikTok shutting down, they went through and did a whole revamp of the system. And they found posts that we made, it was over a year and a half ago. And of course, they won't tell you what it is, but they say, hey, we found this post a year and a half ago. We're suspending your account.
Hmm.
So right now we're in Facebook jail on our main account. I have two other accounts that we had created a while back, but nowhere near 20,000 followers. And I was getting paid from Facebook also. So not a lot, but I mean, it was nice. I vowed I would never give them another dime. Um, so Facebook, I know there's no room for growth. Instagram, same thing. When we post our content, and Instagram has a dashboard and it says, here's why we don't promote your content to non-followers. And it goes through and it shows my shorts, my reels, and it goes, these are why we don't promote it. Well, this is the content that I make, and every short and every reel is different. We really don't. I do my best to never duplicate the same content. So, like, I'm just going to stop what I'm doing just to appease Instagram. So I'm kind of over that. Twitter, we just got on. It's the Wild West on there.
Yeah.
It's amazing that you could actually post guns for sale and do web links and affiliate links. So the only issue I see with Twitter off the top of my head immediately is it is a lot of work to create a following on there.
Mhm.
Just from the little bit of research that I saw, and I'm running a furniture store, I'm running a gun
Right.
store, I'm running a YouTube channel, our website. I've got a lot on my plate already, so it would be hard for me to just up and switch platforms. I think YouTube would have to really, like, they'd have to shut me down, or they'd have to really rub me the wrong way for me to jump ship. So I think YouTube is going to be our platform.
Yeah, well,
You know,
I'm very bullish on Twitter personally, because gun Twitter is very it's a great community. I get writing clients from Twitter, from gun Twitter.
sure,
And I always tell people, just cross post whatever you're doing on your other platform, just
yeah.
cross post it over there. All right,
And
so go
I
ahead.
was going to say, I'll say that real quick. And the reason I'm still on those other platforms is because of the YouTube algorithm. The YouTube algorithm, in my mind, is probably one of the clearest, even though it's not clear, but it is one of the clearest to concepts. YouTube is owned by Google, and at the very basis of the algorithm, if you can complete a Google search to find your video, so meaning it pops up on other programs, in other platforms, then it's going to be more visible in the algorithm. So everything I create for YouTube gets pushed across those other platforms. I'm not doing anything different on them. What you see on YouTube is what you're going to find on all those other platforms.
Mhm. Yeah, no, and I think that's super, super smart. And I think some people, they're just like you talked about, don't be afraid of going for your FFL. Don't be afraid of social media. You just have to know what the workarounds are, like don't touch the guns, right? Stuff like that. All right, well,
Yeah,
let's get a little bit more into kind of what your shop does. I know obviously you sell
sure.
guns. I want to talk a little bit about the gunsmithing, because that's one of my favorite topics besides geography, is gunsmithing, because it's like CPAs, right? Like a lot of them are dying out, right? And so I think there's a huge opportunity for gunsmithing. Are you seeing a lot of demand for gunsmithing in your shop? Like, walk me through
Yes.
your program, how you got there. Walk me through that.
Yeah. So we have Dustin, and if you look at our videos, Dustin is the mountain of a man, gigantic human being. He is our gunsmith. He's a certified. We have his diploma up on the wall there. Um, which other area shops who claim they have a gunsmith, they really don't. So we have a legitimate gunsmith. The restraints that we have is because, again, I'm inside my furniture store and I'm on Main Street in downtown Oshkosh. We are not zoned for manufacturing. So we do not have a manufacturing FFL. And so because of that, we're limited in gunsmithing. So we're limited to benchtop gunsmithing. So if you need a barrel turned, you need an optic cut, we unfortunately can't facilitate that here. We know other shops and we know other CNC machining places that we could get that done for you, but we're just kind of, we're a victim of where we're located.
Mm-hmm.
So if and to try and work with this city, the bureaucracy of, like, could I get part of my it's hard to tell from this shot right here, but my building is 12,000 square feet.
Mm.
And so, and part of that we have a service garage, and I could possibly try to go to the city and get that service garage rezoned for manufacturing, but I'm not up for that headache, honestly, at least at this point. So gunsmithing, that's where we're at. We do have a high demand for it. There's I would say it's daily gunsmithing projects are coming in, and we can, for the most part, for the problems that come our way, we're able to facilitate them. So
Yeah, I've never heard anyone I've ever interviewed that has a gunsmith say, yeah, we have a problem with demand, right? And that is the thing, is where I think all businesses that are in 2A should really look at, is that, if you can provide gunsmithing, seriously consider it, because it will be a profitable, it has the potential to be very profitable for your business. And also then that geography thing is coming back, right? Like, make sure, like, can we, people wouldn't even think about that you have to be zoned for manufacturing for that.
yeah, absolutely. So, gunsmithing is a big portion of our business. Cerakoting is another big portion. When we started out, I knew immediately. I think we kind of got in at the sweet time for Cerakoting. We're Cerakote certified, so I sent out our certified Cerakote applicator, the fancy term. We sent him out to Oregon, where the NIC Industries is, to be trained and certified through them. So we're constantly coating firearms. And then the other biggest aspect of our shop is going to be auctions. So we found that, I'm in business, and I understand that when a customer wants to come in and sell a firearm, most of the time they're expecting to get very close to what they paid for it. And unfortunately, to that I tell them, like, hey, no, I can just go buy a brand new one for way less than what you're asking. And then that's new. So here's what I would be able to offer, because I still have to pay my guys and pay for the light bill and all of that. So we as a shop, we understood right away that we're not going to be able to offer people, typically we're not going to be able to offer them close to what they want. So we started an auction, and that way we control everything. We control start bids, we control reserve dollar amounts, and obviously we take a percentage of that. But then it's hosted online, and it's seen nationwide and not just local. So it's a huge benefit to everybody. So we constantly have people that come in, they ask us to buy it, and when we give them our price, and then they say no, we tell them about the auction, and then they go shop around, and then they find out nobody else is even buying. They're not even going to take it. They come back, and then we consign it for the auction. So auction consignment is a big part of our business.
What goes into setting something like that up? So, like, if you were to say, okay, here are the 3 steps you have to take to get started, because I think that is a really good idea. And the other reason too is you'll have like an estate sale. So say husband dies, wife has no idea what to do with it. She doesn't even want to touch it. Right. So she just can just come in and say, here, here's 20 guns, sell them for me or whatever. So walk me through how that, like, the first 3 steps to do that.
Sure. Absolutely. So from like the customer standpoint, all you're going to do is bring them down to us. We catalog. I have an auction sheet. So it's an agreement that we have. On the backside of that agreement, we list everything that they want to sell, and we're going to take possession of it. And then when it sells, we cut them a check and they're done. It's that simple. They don't have to worry about shipping it. They don't have to worry about background checks, because if the final bidder is local and comes to the shop to pick it up, they're completing a background check here. If it has to get shipped out, it's getting shipped out to another FFL where they're completing a background check in their home state. So there's zero concern or worry on their end.
Right.
So that's it from the the consumer side of it. From our side, we avoided gun broker. I think gun brokers got a lot of leaves a lot of bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. So So we went with HiBid, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with that website, but HiBid is another nationally large online auction. And so, we have everything here. We take all the photographs, we do the listing, we'll do research. So, like you said, if it's a wife that has a gun collection from her husband, by the way, we see this all the time. That is probably one of the more common why we get collections is inheritance. So they don't know what the true value of the gun is. And so we do all the research that we can. We go back to them with the prices that we would recommend. And then they sign off on it and approve it. We did implement a new rule as of January this year, though, because some of the items on our auction have been up for quite a while and the customers don't want to come down on the price. And, so we did implement a new rule after 3 auctions. If your item hasn't gone, the reserve dollar amount goes down 10%, and it'll go down 10% until it goes, or they can come back and pick it up for a fee. So we do our best. But I mean, setting up this auction is no easy task. There's a lot of work involved in it on our end and expenses, and we pay to advertise for it. And then also we're advertising with our YouTube channel, email, newsletters, all of that. So a lot of work goes into it on our end too, because the more money they make, the more money we make.
I think of it almost like a furniture store, right? Like once you have a brick and mortar up and running, right, then you can take digital space and say, okay, well, we're going to physical space to house the guns, but we have all this infrastructure already. We have the knowledge, we have the FFL. Why not add in this other, very easy to add in that other, that offer for your business, because that technology has changed to where there are sites like HiBid or Gunbroker or whatever. And I think that's a genius thing to do, because even though, yes, it takes time, the startup, the startup for that isn't as big because you have almost all the infrastructure already in place.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
and we're already using cameras, so
Right.
I'm already set up with the equipment.
Well, and I think too is like people forget for FFLs, like you can offload all the background check when you ship a gun. Like you offload all the background check to wherever you're shipping it to. Like that's the whole point of the FFL. So it from a transaction perspective of sending it somewhere, either you're going to sell your guns locally or sell them online or whatever. Like you don't have to. You're just sending. You're offloading the risk of the background check when you send it somewhere. So I think people don't think that through, because that's a really big deal.
Right. And where we're at here in Wisconsin, we're a constitutional state, so we can do private sales. So a lot of the times the people that are coming to us with the inheritance, like guns aren't their thing. They're not sure about any laws whatsoever. In fact, they even come to us and go, where do I register it? And like, Wisconsin doesn't have a gun registry. You don't have to go register it anywhere. Well, I want it in my name. But you own it. It's in your possession. It is in your name. And so a lot of them can't kind of comprehend that because media has lied to them. But then they get a nice sense of relief that, we'll handle all of that. And then they know no matter what, it's getting a background check completed. And in fact, this is kind of a goofy rule, but the ATF, I can understand why they do it, but the ATF requires that any gun that comes in on consignment, if it goes back to the person that brought it in, the person has to complete a background check. And that's if a gun comes in for service, nope, the guy who dropped it off, here you go, gun's back to you, no background check, not a problem. But for consignment, I can understand it because some of the times it's court ordered. So we've had that in the past where people had to surrender their firearms. And so they come to us and then we have to, write out basically a bill of sale, but that we have possession of the firearms and they don't, but they still own them. So they're bringing them to us to have us sell them for them. So they don't want to do that come in with the law enforcement officer, hand it over, and then, the next day they come back to pick it up. So, ATF's going to require a background check for probably that reason specifically. But for the most part, anybody that comes and drops it off, we don't really have that problem. So it usually goes. But if they come back and pick it up, these people typically don't have problems passing a background.
Yeah, I mean that was I was living in California for a long time, and then I moved to Virginia, and it was so great in Virginia, the process for getting a firearm versus here versus the process in California, and so that people, they are nervous about that whole, like you said, the media has put this thing in their mind like, oh, you have to be nervous for every single
Yeah,
piece of the process, and it's not as scary, it's not as scary as people think it is for sure.
absolutely.
What do you see for the plan for the business for like the next 2 to 5 years, right? Are you just kind of stay pat where you're at? Is there anything you want to expand into? Because you're doing Cerakote, gunsmithing, the auction. That's a lot on your plate in terms of your offer. You
Yeah.
see going more online to a different location. What's your plan for the next few years, do you think?
Well, the YouTube channel itself is opening a lot of doors for us, doors that I never even knew existed. So we're collabing with other shops. We might be teaming up with some other YouTubers to either at the very least create some new channels. We plan on attending more events. Our YouTube channel gets us in as media, and that blows my mind. Maybe it hurts your feelings a little bit because you're legitimate and you're an actual writer.
No,
But
that doesn't hurt me at all. The more people creating, the better.
right. And so it's funny to me. So I can get into these events and apply for a media badge. The other big aspect of it, of a successful YouTube channel, are brand opportunities, working with major manufacturers and other brands. So bringing those brands here to our shop. So we hope to get in a wider variety of inventory of at least product. That's probably one of the hardest things, is like being the owner and being the buyer and trying to select the actual products that you think people are going to want. But when you can get these brands in where they send you a product to test and review on your channel, that's going to be a great litmus test for us to go, oh, we had a great interaction about this product. We should get that into the shop. So we're going to utilize that a little more. We're going to be working on more brand deals, more opportunities for collabs with other channels. Right now, I'm going to look into getting our SOT. I have to do a little more research on that, so then we could look at getting suppressors in the shop. That's probably the number one product we get asked for on a daily basis is, do we do suppressors? And unfortunately, we do not right now. It's probably like me being back at the beginning of like applying for the FFL. The process, I'm not familiar with it, so I don't want to say I'm afraid of it, but I'm just not sure about it. So I want to do more research on it and see if that's a good fit for us. But suppressors would probably be the next added service, because we'd have to take fingerprints and photos and submit all that proper paperwork. So that would probably be the next big step. But we're just still trying to navigate just day-to-day business as we ride the waves of the gun industry. It's like I say, it's soft right now, so we don't want to go put a lot of money into inventory if it's not going to go. So we just got to be smart about it.
Well, and suppressor, I think, is a growth industry, because a lot more manufacturers are getting into it. So there's a lot more options, but the approval time is coming way down. I mean, it used to be you have to wait forever to get a suppressor.
Yes.
Now it's like some people are getting them extremely fast. So,
well, and even getting customers coming into us that already have an existing suppressor and they want it Cerakoted, because Cerakote is a phenomenal product, because it gets better the hotter it gets. So most guys want to get their suppressor Cerakoted, and we're like, well, if you can stand there as we do it, we'll do it for you. But we're talking hours. So, and that's just not something we can do right now. So I know there would, just even from a service aspect of getting them Cerakoted, it would open a lot for us if we had the SOT.
Got it. Yeah, well, that's exciting, man. At least it's you have a next step, and you're going through it, and that's awesome. So, well, listen, David, I really enjoyed talking to you today. So where do people find you? Make sure, what's your YouTube channel name? How can they email you if they want to talk to you about your content or anything else, or auctions? Run us through how people can find you.
Sure. So YouTube, I will say, because I know this video is going to go up on YouTube, so I'd be a little worried about giving the full web address because every time we do, video gets taken down. So,
Got it.
but if you do find us on YouTube, it would be DBoss Firearms. So D''BOSS space Firearms. You would find us the exact same way across all the socials. There's no weird underscores or spaces. You would find us as DBoss Firearms. And if you go to any of our videos on our YouTube channel, we have campsite links. Our link trees are on there. So you could click on any of those to get to any one of our websites or our affiliates.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, listen, I'd love to have you back on the show and see how your social growth is going, see what's going on. And I think it's been so helpful today. I think you're helping a lot of potential business owners and current business owners with your take and kind of your experience. So thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Great to chat. Have a good one.
You too.